Supergirl. We finally know they're going to start shooting ASAP. First shot of Milly Alcock as the Woman of Tomorrow. We'll discuss that. Robert Downey Jr. might play Doom for a lot longer than we thought. Daredevil episode titles, Spider-Man stuff going on. There's so much today, and it's a special episode of Capes and Cowls, Kristian Harloff Show with myself, Winston A. Marshall, and potentially Mike Kalinowski, depending on what his internet wants to do. So, that being said, we are going to get into it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Let's get cooking. All right, it's time for the movie trivia schmodo. Hey, I'm not done with you yet. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Capes and Cowls. It's the Kristian Harloff Show. It is myself here today, me, Kristian Harloff, that's right, and the one and the only Winston A. Marshall. Hello, Winston. How are you, sir?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. You know, it's Friday. That's the important part. So we're almost done with this nonsense. And, then we can watch some championship football, man.
That's right. And in order for us to do, because it is Friday, you and I are already going to talk about this right off the bat. As last week we talked about it. We've been telling people about it. What gets us going, we have the best shows. Let me see it, Winston. There you go.
Magic mind, baby.
I'm a magic mind. It really does. Hold on. I'm going right. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm just going to go.
I'll go while you talk. How about
Please.
that? I know that for me, it gets me like litty and in a good way. Like I just have this razor focus. Like Friday, after this is over, I gotta go to work. I'll be able to handle all my business and might be able to leave work early.
Clean energy, baby. That's what it is. It's clean energy. And beginning, it's really, to me, it gets me, as Winston said, I get focused. It is mental wealth, and it makes me I'm laser focused throughout after this, during this, you'll see me. I love Magic Mind. And what's great about this is you guys can really find that it'll support the pillars, and it doesn't over promise at all. It is a tool. It enhances focus. It improves sleep, which is great. The tools are little things that can help you move in the right direction. There's two different shots, obviously, for it. There's one for sleeping better, and I've used both. They've sent new ones. They this first time ever, you can get this 24-hour pack. It's focus, sleep shots, bundled up for the first time, 45% off, and it's exclusive. You just use that link that's in the description right there. And I tell you, Winston, I absolutely love this thing. And you guys, you just go to magicmind.com/KHJan, and it is it's the bomb.
It's pretty friggin' amazing, man.
Do you know what it needs, though?
What's that?
There's only one thing that I wish, because it does great things. The only thing it doesn't do is fix internet. And if that was the case, I love that it was almost frozen as he came in here.
You got jokes, don't you? God.
Okay. Winston, did you see the clip?
I saw it.
Mike last night sent me, he goes, "You son of a," and come on, that clip.
And then someone else did something this morning. There's new things out there today.
Oh, the Max Headroom one?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was great.
God,
someone did
Max
yeah,
Headroom.
someone did a Max. The same guy who drew Big Balls, Joe. He sent it to me, and I'll use it for sure.
All I know is that because you mentioned it, now it's time for the movie trivia showdown. That'd be the only way I'm taking Mike on one-on-one is because his internet craps out on me.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
So no, it's not good. But either way, Mike's here today, and there's a lot of different reasons why. To be honest with you, one of the main reasons is that with Coy out today, Mike is probably the three of you guys are just comic book like experts. You really from all the stuff in DC, and so having Mike on the show is something he's always wanted to do, Capes and Cowls more. But I'm also sick of his bitching and complaining on the text thread with him and Roca all the time about how Friday show. It's always Friday. Friday's the one that wins. So I was like, okay, we'll put you on Friday. So Mike, who you have to compete with today?
Myself.
Wrong. Steph hit 123 yesterday. So
What?
there you go.
Shut up.
123. And
That's nonsense. Get
what do you
out
mean
of
it's
here,
nonsense? What do you mean? Of course, what do you mean it's nonsense? She hit 123. And you know what the hilarious thing is? It's the second time she's done this. We're about to sign off. And I don't know if she had 50 questions when we were going to sign off. And they wouldn't let us sign off.
You mean to tell me at like 11:45 you had 50 questions?
Maybe even later. You go back and watch, and I said, "There's no way she's going to do this again," and they kept it going until I said, "Steph, I think you're going to be," because you guys were at. It was something like it was a good number. It was 10. It was one something, and it was 106. What you guys had, and I said, "Oh my God, Steph, you're getting very close to 106," and then the next thing I know, I looked down and it was 123. That's what it is. So
that's insane, but that's fine. That's fine, Mike. That just
of course you can say that. You win every week.
I would say something because you know when there's a problem and you're always trying to figure out what's going on. I think I'm the problem.
Maybe.
I think I'm the problem.
You just said your Taylor Swift era. It's you.
Never hits 126 when I'm doing the show with her.
Dang.
Well, either way, you try to jump ship. You had a nice number. But nonetheless, look, it's not over yet. You guys, you're starting off strong.
You just started, man.
You just got 7 already. Going into the question round yesterday for Steph, she had 26. So there you go. So we have a lot to discuss, and I'm glad that Mike's here, Winston, because we're going to go over the Supergirl story, which dropped yesterday, and it was as Steph and I were actually doing the show, and Luke had sent it to me, and he's like, here, do the story. I was like, nah, this is what I want to talk with the guys because there's so much I don't know about Woman of Tomorrow, and I'm sure Mike knows a lot about it. I know, Winston, you know a lot about it. I'm so sick of these freaking spam calls I get them all of the time. Leave me alone.
Are you done trolling them?
No, I think that it made it worse by picking it up. They call me more. Anyway, so let me bring this up. Here's the story. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. So this is the official first look revealing the movie's logo and a glimpse of Milly Alcock's hero logo. No, hero. There you go. DC Studios has shared an official first look at the upcoming Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. And as well as the movie's logo, we have a glimpse of Milly Alcock's House of the Dragon, Girl of Steel. DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn has taken to social media to share a first look at Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, confirming the movie has officially begun production in the UK. First look image, we see the Maid of Might hanging out in a bar wearing a hoodie in place of her classic superhero costume. Alcock is rocking Supergirl's trademark blonde locks, though, and we can see the character's logo on the back of her chair. Thrilled to see cameras roll at Warner Brothers Studios. Leaves Den on Supergirl with Greg Gillespie at the helm and the phenomenal Milly Alcock as our Kara Zor-El, Gunn said. Craig brings an incredible sensibility to the story, and Milly is every inch the unique Supergirl envisioned by Tom King. While not confirmed, it appears that the movie might now be titled simply Supergirl. That's how Gunn referred to it in his post, and the official DC Fan First News blasted also drops a Woman of Tomorrow. We'll let you know if he comments on that. Back to the movie's logo, and unsurprisingly, it's the same as the Man of Steel's. However, there's a slight different feel to it as presented, which is likely a good indication that Kara Zor-El has a much different outlook than her cousin. When the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow was first announced, Gunn said, "We see the difference between Superman, who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents from the time he was an infant, versus Supergirl, who was raised on a rock, a chip of Krypton. She watched everyone around her die, be killed in terrible ways the first 14 years of her life, and then came to Earth when she was a young girl." So this is the shot, I guess is this the, whoops. Is that the whole thing? I'm trying to see. Nope.
It looks like it.
It looks like that. Let me see. Oh yeah, when I click, hold on a second. I gotta click on this in order for it to join. Hold on, let me try to do this here. So this is the actual image. You can see it smaller there, but then it opens up. And there it is. That's the only one, just her in a bar back. Okay, fair enough. So, I think that first of all, it makes sense, guys, that they would just title this thing Supergirl because you're branding it, right? You're looking at what the Superman trailer did, the hype behind it. you're crossing your fingers that it's going to crush, that you can then say, okay, well, you like Superman? Here's Supergirl. Whose is that? Can someone stop that?
Hold on, that's probably me. Give me a second.
That's you, Harloff.
No,
that's
it's definitely not me.
My phone is right in front of me.
Right, so it was Winston. So let's get Mike's thoughts as Winston tries to fix his computer. Mike, what do you think about this overall? Are you excited about this? What do you think Milly Alcock's the right person? Do you think we're in good shape, that we're shooting already? What say you?
Yeah, I like that. This particular storyline that it's based on, I've not read yet. But it just seems like everything, like I thought to myself the other day, I was like, everything just seems to be working right. Like, we knew this film was in pre-production. We knew the script was going with it. They announced the cast, and then they got into production, and now Superman's ramping down from its post-production. This one's gearing up. And I think when this starts going, then we're going to start hearing more about Lanterns, and then more about whether it's Sergeant Rock or Batman. It's like, they know they've got this kind of cycle down what they're doing now. We're not like, we hit some script issues and, well, we lost a cast member because it took too long to get this film underway. So it just feels, and I love the transparency that they have. Like, they're showing a picture. I think eventually we'll probably get a shot of her in the suit like they did with Corn Sweat.
Yeah.
Like, to kind of be, if they ever start doing any outdoor filming, they'll get out before that. So it's great to see kind of just a nice,
progression. Yeah, it just seems like
it's even progression.
Yeah. What do you think, Winston?
I mean, I think what is probably happening is something similar that happened with Legacy, in that you're putting that name in there as you're working on it, almost the way that the new Spider-Man film, they're using Spider-Man Blue, referring to Blue Oasis. I might have that backwards, that it's Blue Oasis referring to blue, but the point is you're tipping your hand as to kind of what we're going to be dealing with here. But then once you drop the name and just leave it as is, like you said, to focus on the specific branding of what we're doing. So I think in this particular case, it's the same thing. It lets us know what main story element we're going to be pulling from in A Woman of Tomorrow, and kind of that whole, Supergirl's 21st birthday, her own kind of adventure sort of situation and all that. And I think the thing that's really interesting and important, we've already kind of been told that we'll get a little bit of an edgier Kara than we would like a Clark, but we are still focused back on the idea of hope, of truth, justice, the American way. I think that is, it's not putting a negative stamp on anything that Snyder did, but it is differentiating itself and really setting its own tone. And I think that is what is so important, again, even by these little titles, to let you know, hey, this is kind of where we're living. Even Brave and the Bold, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a different name by the time it's actually time to go up. And we're just
I like the idea, almost doing what they did for Marvel at the beginning. It's Iron Man. Then it was, Iron Man was always Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, but Captain America, then Captain America Winter Soldier, then Captain America Civil War. It's like, that's fine. It started off, it's like, okay, it's really our first one. So yeah, I know we've seen Batman a million times over, but the problem with just calling it Batman is you've already had Batman and Robin, you've already had Batman, you've already had the Batman. That might be tough to do. So Brave and the Bold might stick, but I see what you're saying though.
I wouldn't be surprised realistically if they go the route of what the animated run did, and instead of being Batman the Brave and the Bold, if we really are focused on him and Damian, that we end up with Batman versus Robin, which is essentially the idea now that Robin is coming into the fold and he's having to try and listen to Bruce, but obviously he was trained as an assassin by Talia and Raish, that he's going to be pushing back a little bit. And so the clash of father and son of like, I want to do it my way. And he's like, no, you're going to do it the Batman way. Like, that might be what they end up doing in that regard, but we'll see.
Yeah. Mike, when it comes to this with Supergirl and the tone, and I think Winston made some good points with how you get Superman, or how, the hope aspect of it. And even those comments from GUnn of the difference between the two of them. It's also a way for the new DC universe to show, hey, not every movie is going to feel the same. They're all going to shift in tone. So do you think that what kind of tone overall do you think, after reading you read these comics, right?
I didn't read this. I read Supergirl, but not this particular run that it's based on. I think it's World of Tomorrow, or
Woman of Tomorrow.
Woman of Tomorrow. It's fairly recent run, which is great to see that's the one that they were kind of going off of. But as far as tone, they are two different characters in the sense that of who they are, and I love the casting of the two of them together, like her and Corn Sweat, like to see that dynamic I'm assuming there's rumors that she's appearing in Superman at the end. Like she appears, and I'm sure, knowing GUnn and the way that they're doing this, I'm sure they had reads together, or they might have had a costume test with them together, just to see how they look together.
Right.
So
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
It's and it's interesting because they're both younger, on the younger side, closer in age, I would say. Whereas I'm used to a Superman that's a little older than Kara.
But the irony of all that is that that's still her nephew or cousin. You know what I'm saying? That she was the older, and just based off of how she gets stuck in space, that she ends up being the younger when it's all said and done. But to quickly answer that, Mike, the main story of Woman of Tomorrow is her being 21, out in space, finds a girl whose planet was ravaged by people. So she goes on a revenge tour with this girl and Crypto to avenge this woman's planet. So it also, taps into her own loss of her planet and all that. And that's where a lot of, she then is, fighting with, sticking with everything that she knows in her teachings, but the same rage she has of seeing another woman's planet get destroyed.
And I still think Mike, I still think you're going to get that age difference, because he's almost 10 years older than her in real life. I mean, he's 31, she's 24. So you still
looks 24.
Yeah. And she can play. And
it's just, I guess from seeing her in House of Dragon, she feels like she's in her 30s.
I think you might be thinking of Emma Darcy, because Milly Alcock she seems like
she was the youngest one.
Yeah, she's playing a teenager. She's playing super young. You're thinking of Emma Darcy.
I have her still in my mind, and that was the thing. Even though she was playing the younger version, she just gives off a ridiculous amount of maturity. So then seeing her a couple years later, I thought that maybe she was, similar to Amelia Clark, where maybe she was in her early to mid 20s when she shot, and then now she's maybe already 30 or 31. But she's
24. Either way, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this movie, and there is a question, which I don't want to ask it because I don't feel like it's going to happen, but you have to, and that's if Superman doesn't perform, right? Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on this poor girl.
But okay, so when we talk about this, and again, I hear this and I read the reports about this. At what level do we say success or whatever? Let's say it's a fan and critic success, but only pulls in 500 million.
How much does it cost to make?
That's what I'm saying. You got to go off of that. And people we're looking at, what we look at and whatnot. And I know it's Superman, but I look at the first 3 MCU films and what they brought in. Marvel's like, hey, we're doing well, let's keep going. Not like, well, we didn't hit $1 billion.
Well, no, but there's two things there. The first is they didn't need to make $1 billion to make profit, right?
Sure.
And the question is, how much money do you need to make profit? But I do think that the one way they could get through it and say, okay, look, everybody, the fans that saw it loved it, the critics loved it, and we broke even or we made a little money. That will continue it going on. If the fans don't like it and the critics don't like it and it makes money, they can still go on. If the fans don't like it and the critics don't like it, and it doesn't make money, you're in serious trouble.
So we're looking at 3 different areas. I think, I think we've talked about this. I say it'll hit around 650. I just do. I think that's what it'll hit.
That's not a crazy number. It's not a crazy number.
I don't
with
see
the hype
it going
behind it
over 7.
Well, let's see how it is. I think that that's the same thing. Like when all the hype was coming out for Deadpool and Wolverine about well, how is it? And then people were having a blast with it. You're like, okay, and that makes sense. And I'll tell you, the one movie I was not wrong with, but I just that'd be hard to hit that $1 billion was Moana 2, right?
Oh,
that movie it was a TV series, and it made.
I don't know how.
It's amazing to me like that. I didn't hear. I knew it was out, but you don't hear anything about it week after week.
Moana
and then it's
2?
like Moana 2 hits $1 billion, and you're like, what?
It was very similar to Avatar 2, to be honest with you. The people that rock with Avatar, sure, but the general populace, you didn't hear about it. And then all of a sudden, it's like it's almost clearing $2 billion, and you're like, what?
I don't.
When?
I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I heard.
That's because you've got kids, and it's always.
Well, no, but no. You're talking about Moana. I'm talking
Oh.
about Avatar. Avatar. There was a lot of buzz about Avatar.
That is, but again,
Yeah,
that
but
is
it's like
amongst
the
Avatar
buzz
heads.
comes out.
It wasn't about clearly not. It made $2 billion. You can't just do that. Avatar heads make $2 billion.
But Jurassic World was the same thing. The only difference is because it's Jurassic World, then it is what it is. But I'm trying to tell you, you're the one that's always talking about. We got to think about the layman. I'm saying the everyday homie was like, oh, wasn't that a movie in like 2009 or whatever?
You mean before it came out? Before it released
once
in
it
theater?
was out, when it
I disagree.
the ramp up to it,
yeah, I
the
disagree.
ramp up to it, I thought was bigger than its actual once it was in theater. People just went; they didn't talk about it, but the people that wanted to go see it, like I feel like I didn't hear anything about it while it was in its run.
We may hang in different circles, but as far as Moana goes, the reason why, Mike, you're not wrong. It's because I have kids, right? That's why that particular movie was aimed for families. That movie, Moana 2.
You're hearing about it, and it's there.
Because my 7-year-old talks about it all the time.
Right.
It's not a conversation that I'm having with everyone else. And yes, Fandomator, we know everybody can enjoy it. We know. What I'm saying is that it was geared towards families. It was geared towards kids, and that's what Bob Iger did in order to make money. He just went after the kids, and I'll tell you, there were a lot of people that were, adults and other people who loved the first Moana who didn't like the second one. I thought it was just okay. Guess who loved it? My 7-year-old. It's her favorite movie of the year because she doesn't think about the things the way that we look at movies. You know what I mean? So there was there's a reason why that movie, because it was something for people to see and families to see. So anyway, there's more to talk about. There's a lot more to talk about, and there's a new rumor running around the joint. Look, you guys are at 23, by the way, already at 25.
Mike, look, there you go.
And Steph was like, Steph was
I'm
like
just gonna
24.
feel bad if we don't hit it, Winston, because I'll be a jinx for you, pal.
Yeah.
Oh, if I won every week, then I'd be like, you fucking with my money, bro.
Hey, watch it. All right. Rumor. Marvel Studios. You put that money in a curse jar. Marvel Studios wants Avengers star Robert Downey Jr. to continue to play Dr. Doom after Secret Wars. While Robert Downey Jr. is making his MCU return for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, a new rumor suggests that Marvel Studios wants the actor to continue playing the villain into the next saga, with Marvel Studios forced to scrap plans for Jonathan Majors to serve as a multiverse saga's big bad. This year's San Diego Comic-Con saw Robert Downey Jr.'s MCU return finally confirmed as Dr. Doom. The decision to cast the Iron Man star in that role has split opinions, however, between enlisting one of the MCU's biggest box office draws and the return of the Russo brothers. It's clear Kevin Feige hopes to recapture the success found by Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Downey is rumored to appear in the Fantastic Four First Steps post-credit scene, but will take center stage in the aptly named Avengers Doomsday. From there, we anticipate him playing a similarly significant role in Avengers Secret Wars, the multiverse saga finale. Despite rumblings, the Marvel's first family will be among Doomsday's lead characters. There has been some disappointment that Downey's turn as Victor Von Doom likely takes the villain off the table for future installments of the Fantastic Four franchise. Well, not only may we see more of Doom beyond Secret Wars, but a new rumor suggests Downey plans to stick around as the iconic villain. Marvel Studios reportedly wants the actor to continue playing the villain after that 2027 movie, a sign that there are perhaps tentative plans in place for Doom beyond just this saga. It would be a real shame for Doom to be a one-and-done baddie sidelined after battling Earth's mightiest heroes, particularly as the comics have seen him continue his rule over Latveria, whatever the hell that is, even after, God bless you, even after his attempts to take over the world have failed. Of course, just because this is what Marvel Studios wants, it doesn't mean that Downey will feel the same. The guy's probably making $40 million a movie. This could lead to the return of the Iron Man franchise, albeit with Doom serving as the infamous Iron Man as he did after the comic book Secret Wars. One character we won't see sharing the scene with Doom is Doctor Strange. In a recent interview, the actor confirmed he'll be absent from Doomsday before saying, "Is that a spoiler? F it." He later said that plans changed after Major's firing and former Sorcerer Supreme's absence from the movie down to the character not aligning with this part of the story. On the plus side, Strange will be in a lot of Avengers Secret Wars, the Russo's follow-up to Doomsday, and the movie is expected to usher in a new era of MCU storytelling. We bet on that having something to do with him and Clea heading off to deal with an incursion at the end of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. All right, a lot here, obviously. So I don't know. I'm kind of split on this because at one point, what they say in this is that it'd be a shame to have a one and done kind of villain. He's in those two movies, in the post credit scene for Fantastic Four, and then it's just over. They defeat him and see you later. So to have him come back, be involved in X-Men and other things, sure. I just worry about getting exhausted, and I love Downey, but I just exhausted by it. What we were just talking about with the success of like Superman and stuff. What if people don't buy him because I'm telling you, he coming out with the sunglasses at Doom was a mistake. Like, because it just looked like Tony Stark playing Dr. Doom. He's a great actor. He's got to be significantly different. But I don't know, Winston, what do you think about this potential news if they're going to continue it on?
I the only thing about it, but that's where we just got to look at the whole scooper culture and all that, is that I am not opposed to it, but I got to see what he's capable of doing with the role first. I agree that it would be a massive mistake to put Doom in 2 movies and walk away. Doom is on the same level of Loki, where he is constantly in the mix somewhere, messing things up. Occasionally is on the side of good, but never because he wants to necessarily be good, typically because of his ego, and he just thinks he can do things better than how they already are and things like that. But it would be a huge mistake to let the character go away. Now, like you said, as far as Robert Downey Jr., we got to see how he does with it. He's a fantastic actor. We all love him, but I understand what you're saying. You have already tied too much Iron Man to him that you're putting yourself at a little bit of a disadvantage here. But I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm just kind of like, okay, so let's not lose Doom, even if you need to do a variant and bring somebody else in.
I doubt they're going to do that though, because especially if you have them and people do like them, and then you can do a variant of it. But I understand what Winston's saying though. But I don't know, Mike, what do you think about this? Please don't be oh yes, thank God. Yes. Yes. Pencil. Yes.
Yo, this might, Mike, I don't know if you can hear me, but this might get us over the hump.
Oh, I hear you.
Because they might just start sending him in now just for the fix.
Oh, look, I'm back.
I'm
plugged in, landline and everything.
Oh, you look great. You look good. Is that you? I can't see your face. All right, go ahead.
Guys, I don't want to talk. Bad's the wrong word. Downey Jr. was the reason the MCU is what it is. Like, there's no denying this. I'm going back, and I had this book. It's the creation of the MCU. It's this massive tomb of a book that's 2 volumes that I've had forever, and I finally started reading it. And you just realize like how all the pieces fit together, and him and the redemption story with him as an actor, and Favreau fighting for him, and everything about this seems desperate to me. Like, Doom is Doom. Like, he is one of the most iconic villains in the Marvel universe that hasn't been done right yet. And again, I have no idea what they're going to do with him. We still don't know. Is he Tony Stark, but a variant? So he's to Doom, or is he a different character completely? Just the same actor playing a different character, and he'll be Victor Von Doom. They're not going to reference him looking like Tony or Tony, it's you. And it just feels so wasted to me, especially since they finally got the Fantastic Four and can do that right. And like, why would you? Because again, like you were saying, like, he's sometimes a good guy. Like, he'll side with wherever his interests are. Like, he's like the Lex Luthor of Marvel. Like, he should always be there, always pulling the strings, always one step ahead, always. Like, there's so many great ones where he'll sacrifice his own life just to make Reed look dumb. Like, and the fact that we're not even getting a hint of Reed and him being college roommates and growing up together. It's like, and now with the thing that's thrown in with, Evans is going to be the Hydra Cap. And I'm like,
well, that's rumor though.
Again, it's all rumor. I know, but it always seems like, hey, we had the greatest hits. We went through a slump, but let's get the people back. And again, we talk about the layman. Are they going to go, what's Tony Stark doing in the armor green?
They got to really explain it. I mean, they got to really explain it.
General audiences don't give a shit about it.
No, I know. No, you're not wrong. I agree with you. I think that in the same way, like, I think it's a cop-out, and I still, look, there's more right that Feige has done than wrong.
Of course.
But the thing that I've always really thought was so silly when he's like, nah, people don't need to watch WandaVision in order to understand Doctor Strange too. What the hell are you talking about? People are lost.
I mean, that was
regular people would be lost. Like, she has kids?
I get it from a corporate standpoint. You've got to say stuff like that, but that was 100% good to see WandaVision to understand Strange.
But even the corporate version, it's like, hey, tell them to watch our show beforehand.
Hey, mention us.
Hey, mention the show.
Mention us.
Tell them to go watch. I know the director and the writers didn't watch it, but why don't tell everyone else to watch it? So, anyway.
I guess again, my main element is it is so hard to figure out. I know what our concerns are, but it's so hard to figure out until we actually see what they're doing. Because like part of the rumors too about what's going on with the script is the idea that there is that, Tom Holland sees Doom's face and is like, Tony, and then Doom potentially sees he can take advantage of, because essentially what I've heard is the idea, obviously it's all allegedly, but the idea that different planet, like different Earth, Doom seeing incursions, wanting his planet to survive and stuff like that, tries to go and take over this other Earth so he can just do whatever he needs to do. And if he needs to use Peter to do that because he thinks he's an ally, then you do. But, and, ultimately we move towards Battle World, him wanting more power, blah, 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 blah. But again, until we actually see what we're doing here, it's really hard to say, but you need Doom. Whether it's Robert Downey Jr. or not, you need him for longevity. You cannot one and done him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. What do you guys think about this in general? If the rumor is indeed true, should they move Doom and make sure that he's part of it for the long run, as Winston's saying? And if so, do you have to keep Downey? Is it hard to say because we haven't seen the movie yet? So put your thoughts in there. Let us know. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. And thank you, everybody who's been commenting and throwing in those chats thus far. If you want to help out the show, obviously, you can become a member. That's the way to do it. But I'll also tell you about our wonderful sponsors. I got both of them. I've been telling you about them all week. And I'll tell you once again, this episode is sponsored by both BetterHelp and our friends over at Prolon. Here you go. Today, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at BetterHelp. I've talked to you guys many times about BetterHelp. I've talked to you about Roxy and BetterHelp and how that's helped her tremendously in her life. And I know that it's benefited her. And this is January, man. And it brings you over 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. In 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist, or maybe there's a part of your story you've been wanting to revise. And life's not about resolutions that fade by in February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. I think of it more or less as therapy is kind of like an editorial partner. It helps you write new chapters, and it's creates the meaningful story that you deserve to live. And I think that works out for everybody. As I mentioned with Roxy, it helped. It has helped people in my family. It has helped. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable, convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a device network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. You can switch therapists anytime, no extra cost. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/bigthing today. You get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/bigthing. I've told you, and I told you last week, I'm going to tell you again about Prolon. Man, this was cool so far. Even my wife and I were discussing it the other day. Because I was like, look, I'm trying this challenge thing. I need to do it. You want to get that post-holiday reset. And it's pretty amazing. So you guys don't know, the new year again, it's here, and I started a reset already after the holidays because of the indulgences, and I wanted to jumpstart my health in 2025. So I started with Prolon. It's that 5-day program. It's fasting, but it's with food. What? Yeah. I can nourish my body while experiencing benefits like fat loss and enhanced skin appearance and improved energy. And so with January fasting challenges, I have expert support, I have guidance, and a community to keep me on track. So basically what you do if you're craving a post-holiday reset, this is the best. So I'm starting it. It is a 5-day program, and it really is a game changer. Right? You nourish your body while you let the experience the benefits of fasting, like fat loss, better skin, improved energy. The meals that they come with, it's prepackaged, zero guesswork, which is exactly what I needed after the holiday. I can tell you that. So it's a structured way to rejuvenate and start the year feeling lighter, more energized, and ready to tackle anything. So ready to make 2025 your healthiest year? If you are, you got to order the Prolon 5-day kit. You go to prolonlife.com/bigthing and you join in on their fasting challenge today. New groups start every Sunday in January. And Prolon is offering the listeners of this show 15% off their 5-day nutrition program for your post-holiday glow up when you go to prolonlife.com/bigthing. One more time, prolonlife.com/bigthing. Thank you to both BetterHelp and Prolon. As I mentioned to you guys, the links are in the description. Thank you, everybody who's been sending me DMs and telling me they've been signing up to our sponsors and getting the benefits that we have telling you about. It helps us out, and you get some really great stuff. All right, guys. So the other thing is, just kind of Marvel heavy today, but Armor Wars was something that was being talked about for a bit, and then it just kind of went away. They didn't really know what was going on with it. There's a new report of what's happening with Armor Wars, and that is that reportedly it's being reworked after the negative response to Secret Invasion. There's no world I'm doing we're doing a rewatch, of the MCU. There's no world I'm watching that show. I'm just telling you right now.
Because you didn't watch it the first time, right?
Watched like 2 episodes and I never went back. I'll watch Skeleton Crew before I watch that. Armor Wars went from being a TV series to a movie, but now appears to be stuck in limbo. Today, we have an update on the project and how the negative reaction to Secret Invasion might have changed things. We're closing in on 5 years since Armor Wars was announced as a Disney Plus series. Yasser Lester was tapped as head writer in August 2021, but countless days followed until September 2022 when we learned it was being redeveloped as a movie. Since then, the project has seemingly fallen by the wayside, despite Spider-Man No Way Home and Secret Invasion laying at least some of the groundwork for this continuation of War Machine's story. Today, we have an update from insider Daniel Rickman. He claims that Armor Wars is on hold, not canceled. Apparently, Marvel Studios is reworking the project following the Secret Invasion backlash, meaning Rhodey's storyline won't continue until after Avengers Secret Wars. Rickman also notes Armor Wars is also expected to focus on entirely different things than originally planned. So yeah, we'd bet on Marvel Studios dropping the idea of War Machine having been a Skrull since the events of Captain America Civil War. Fortunately, the way his return was handled when he was discovered in the Skrull base left enough ambiguity. I can't talk right now. Thank you. I don't care. You don't need to tell me what it is. I don't give a shit. From Marvel to easily move on from the ideal. While War Machine is a popular character, there doesn't seem to be that much demand for this movie. Yes, characters like Ironheart and Justin Hammer could be added to the mix, but if the massive success of the Iron Man trilogy tells you anything, it's that filmgoers want Tony Stark. In a post-Secret Wars MCU, there's a chance we'll see Marvel Studios cast a new Iron Man, potentially making Armor Wars for a far more exciting prospect. Don Cheadle was asked last October. He said, "You can find out and let me know what's going on with it. I don't know. I'm not sure anything right now." Yeah. That one we covered. We knew. Mike, should this even happen or let it go?
I don't know, buddy boy. Like you, I didn't see Secret Invasion.
I forgot how much I love Mike's catchphrases, man.
Yeah, that was good.
It's like
let me stop you right there.
Let me stop you right there. I don't know, man. Like, what are we just plugging along with it because we announced it back in the day, and we're not doing like a Star Wars where they're like, well, Rangers of the Old Republic. We're just not doing that anymore. Like, maybe just because you'd announce it, you don't need to do it. If you can't,
or stop announcing stuff until you're ready to.
Well, I think they stopped that. I think
yeah.
that they've learned their lesson from doing those big presentations where they'll do, even Comic-Con this year was kind of muted as far as that went, which is smart. But I mean, again, if it's good, people will watch it,
Yeah. What do you think, Winston?
Yeah. That whole idea that Rhodey was a Skrull the whole time was awful. I really did not like that twist. So I understand people being understandably kind of angry that's kind of what ended up happening. I'm not against the idea of the project, but we are genuinely, like the article said, we're in Blade territory now. And that is very disheartening because War Machine and, Ironheart, and I mean, we're still getting the Ironheart series, but like all of this had so much potential And to lose both Blade and War Machine is just frustrating because I really enjoy both those characters, not for the obvious reason I'm sure somebody in the chat will say one way or the other, but genuinely that Rhodey is a very interesting character, especially in a world where Tony doesn't exist. So that is something that I hate that we're not getting it. I don't know. On top of the fact that I love Don Cheadle, but as you know, the very funny meme of Kevin Hart interviewing him, and he was like, I'm almost 60. Damn, like he's getting older. So at what point does he go, you know what? I'm either retired or I don't want to do this anymore or what, you know what I'm saying? So totally. I wish they would figure it out.
Yeah, it does go back to Mike's right. They're not doing that announcing thing as much as they were beforehand, but it's still like, just stop doing that, please. Just stop announcing stuff. And then, and the other thing that Mike said was that just because you had it at one point doesn't mean you need to do it again. Plus, it does get into that. What's the overall plan? Like we always said with Star Wars, there's never a plan, right? Well, what's the plan this time with MCU? Because, okay, our rumor about Downey. Well, we want him to come back. Why? Because he's Downey. People want to come see Downey. So we need him back. What's the plan? We'll figure it out. No, don't do that. Not saying that's the plan, but that's the thing. What about Rhodey? We're gonna keep Rhodey around, right? People love Rhodey. Well, we had that the Armor Wars, and it just didn't. We'll rewrite it, and we'll make it work. People love Rhodey, and then we can have a new Iron Man, and it's Iron Man. So it's what Mike was saying before. It's just kind of like the new stuff wasn't working, so they're just trying to like go to the old hits. Doesn't mean it won't be good. I think the other thing that you got to take in consideration is what they had mentioned with Tony Stark being the guy who everybody loves as the tech genius, right? Let's see how true that is when we see Ironheart, because they're trying to introduce someone that is kind of like the new Tony Stark. Now, I thought Riri was forced in Black Panther 2. We've talked about this, Winston. In a TV show, we have way more time with her that maybe she can win me over, and I go, I get it, but I didn't understand the need to have her own TV show from what we saw in Black Panther 2. She didn't steal the movie the way that they A, thought she would, and B, needed her to.
It was very clear supposed to be the way that Shuri was to T'Challa in the first. She was supposed to be the follow-up second to that, and I got those vibes one way or the other, but I think ultimately you were just dealing with so much at the same time. It maybe didn't fire on all cylinders that people would need it to. I again really enjoyed her character and I wanted to see more of that. But even in the notion of we're not going to give you over to Namor and all that kind of stuff, it felt like she even took a back seat as the potential prisoner of him and stuff like that. And so there's just a lot going on there one way or the other, but I think she still did more than well enough to be continued on. And like, if you are going to do a show with her, it's very similar to what you did with Ms. Marvel. You're just trying to give her some more lore. You just happen to introduce her before in a movie versus introducing her in the show.
Mike, what do you think about that aspect of it? I know you talked about the Armor Wars, but as far as what did you think of? Did you think Riri worked in Black Panther 2?
I feel it was so God, we talked about this last week about something being overstuffed, but it was overstuffed because everything else was underbaked.
Right.
Like, and again, they were facing a almost insurmountable challenge with what the original script wanted to be, what they wanted to do, and then circumstances happening, they'd have flipped everything. I feel it was like she shouldn't have been in the movie. Like, I know why, because it was the impetus for that sonar device that she was creating that led the Atlanteans to her. But I'm thinking back and I don't really remember her from the thing, because then it was like towards the end of the movie, all the Dora Milaje had super suits and everyone had super suits. And it was just like, well, what's so special about her then?
Right. It's true. But either way, we'll see how they're going to wind up using her in the long run. All right, Winston, what do you think as far as aren't they supposed to do a Black Panther animated show too?
Yeah, it's already announced. It's coming out this year. Let me see if I can find the photo that has the release date of everything. But yeah, it's Eyes of Wakanda. It's supposed to be essentially the CIA of Wakanda and looking into them and then the agents they have around the world. What that's like. Essentially what Nakia's character was doing, where she would go off and travel and be the spy and all that kind of stuff that Killmonger was trying to activate all those splinter cells that were around the world.
Right.
It's following that department of Wakanda, which actually sounds fascinating when you think of it that way. To be like, oh, we're following the spies of Wakanda. That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, last thing we're going to talk about here, guys, today, before we move on to the questions. So we've talked about Batgirl before and how that was before James Gunn came in. That whole controversy of it was kind of unheard of, right? That they shot this whole movie and then they saw it, they didn't like it, so they just scrapped it. No one's ever going to see it because they wanted to get a tax break. So here is the actual story. Batgirl movie was literally completely finished prior to being scrapped, according to crew member.
Jesus.
We kind of knew this, though. We knew that Batgirl was deep into post-production when the decision was made to scrap the movie. But according to a crew member who worked on the project, it was completely finished. Warner Brothers Discovery boss David Zoloft decided to shelve the HBO Max Batgirl movie when it was already so deep into post-production. It was one of the biggest news stories of 2022, and it was met with a significant amount of backlash from every corner of the industry. The project was scrapped as a tax write-off, with reports doing the rounds at the time that Barbara Gordon's first solo outing simply wasn't very good. DC Studios co-CEO Peter Safran will later suggest that Batgirl may have been even more of a mess than we have been led to believe. He said, I saw the movie and there's a lot of incredibly talented people in front of and behind the camera on that film, but that film was not releasable, and it happens sometimes. That film was not releasable. I actually think that David Zaslav and the team made a very bold and courageous decision to cancel it because it would have hurt DC. It would have hurt those people involved. Now, almost 3 years later, our department and Mitchell is claiming that the movie was a lot closer to completion than we realized. It's insane that they scrapped it. It was literally completely finished, VFX and everything, she said in response to a TikTok comment. I definitely believe it still exists, though, really hoping someone leaks it in like 10 years. While some version of the movie might still exist somewhere in the WB vaults, the chances of ever seeing the light of day are pretty slim at this stage, unless it does get leaked. Other projects have suffered the same fate since, including Scoob, Holiday Haunt, and Coyote versus Acme. The studio is allowing filmmakers to shop it to other distributors, but Zaslav is adamant. But these practices simply come down to a strategic decision and were required to improve the media conglomerate's financial health. Okay. All right. So I feel like we're all gonna be on different wavelengths on this. We'll start with Winston because Winston, I feel like you think this definitely should have been released, right?
I mean, I'm of the mindset that, like, again, I get it, but it's a completed movie. I'm thinking about it from terms of like a filmmaker and all that, where you put your heart and soul into stuff like that. You put all of that time and effort. It's a completed movie in that regard, and you just kind of write it off like that. Because like where I really don't trust Zaslav or anybody that did that is because they did the same thing to apparently Coyote versus Acme, and everything that was said about that is that movie was actually great. So like I don't believe it for a second, knowing that was also pre-strike. And I know Warner Brothers was in trouble, but like this idea where they would just say whatever it was to kind of make them look better, it's hard for me to believe that. And we've seen worse dribble come out anyway. Like you released Joker Folie à Deux. You released Shazam 2. Okay. You released Aquaman 2. Don't miss me with that. I'm not like I refuse to believe that, honestly.
All right, I'm gonna respond to that one because let's say, what do you think's a worse movie? Not by story, but I'm talking about filmmaking in general, Joker 2 or Madam Web. What's a worse movie?
Filmmaking?
Yeah.
Madam Web.
Right. What movie could, if you look at the two of those movies, and let's say that Batgirl, if Peter Safran is looking at it, it's Peter Safran's comments that made me go, okay, wait a minute. Because everything you say about filmmakers and the heart and the soul of it, I don't disagree with. It's like you put your efforts into it and you try to do everything you can. In the same way, the way that I look at this is it's not their movie, right? They worked on it. They worked hard on it. They don't own the movie. Warner Brothers owns the movie. So in the same way that if you are Winston, Mike, both you guys are actors, you guys go in, you get a role. And you put the heart and the soul and everything into this performance and you crush the scene. It's amazing. You loved it. It was great. Filmmakers go, doesn't really further the plot. You still get paid, but we ain't putting it in the movie. It just doesn't work. Your scene's cut. Sucks. You're bummed. You know you did the best work maybe of your life, and no one's going to see it. Sucks. But it's the director's right to do that.
Sure.
And the thing is, like, so if Peter Safran goes, and the reason that I said that one of the reasons they could have really done this is with them coming back to try to fix the DC brand, having another blemish like this, the fact that if it was that terrible, because that's the thing, you could look at this movie and you could say, that was terrible. Like Madam Web, if Madam Web, this happened to Madam Web after you saw Madam Web, you'd be like, I kind of understand it. You know, it's terrible. Although it did good in streaming, but it's like, it was terrible. So if it was that terrible, Mike, I kind of understand where they're coming from.
But at what point, how do you get that far and go, yeah, this isn't good? You have
right
Brendan Fraser, who's just coming off Academy Award win or Academy nomination. Keaton, who everyone loves. I don't know Leslie Grace to me is the outlier. Like, I don't know what she's done before. I haven't watched it. Maybe she was terrible. You've got these directors they're the guys that did the Bad Boys sequels, right?
Yes,
yeah.
they did the
and
Bad
those
Boys,
movies. You can't talk about bad directing with those two movies.
Right.
They're incredibly exciting and fun to watch and enjoyable. And there's nothing you want like, ooh, it's not like I came in and pitched WB, never having directed anything. Like, wow, we love your take, Mike. Go for it. Make this movie. And then everyone's like, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's not a director. This is a mess. These guys are proven track records for WB that they do very good work. So where's the problem? Like, what doesn't work?
I mean, we won't know because we didn't see it.
But that's what I'm just like, of all the pieces that you've got there, what's not working? And I don't know. Is it the acting? Is the lead not working?
Right. Like, what is it exactly?
What made them scrap an entire movie? Not even scrap it. They didn't even like get halfway through. They finished the thing. And then they said, we're not doing this. Right. They could have stopped it midway through and at least saved some money.
And they released that god awful like try to reboot the Matrix movie, which in my opinion just did not hit. You released The Secrets of Dumbledore, which was god awful.
You're talking about movies that just were. Secrets of Dumbledore was. It wasn't a horrendous movie like, oh my god, how like that bad. You're talking about a movie that just doesn't hit, as opposed to like. And again, I didn't see Batgirl, but I'm saying if it's like one of these kind of like really horrible movies, the movies that you're giving examples for to me are not like atrocious. No chance you can try to make money on those movies. Like there's like Madam Web. That okay.
Let me ask you this. Let me put this question to you guys.
Yeah.
Say there is no James Gunn rebooting DC at this point.
Do you still release it?
Do you think this movie got released?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially. The only thing I can think of, and you said it, Harloff, is if we cannot have another blemish on the Flash failed.
Right. Well, that was before Flash, but still.
Pre-Flash, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. But also, you have to remember this. It was before that, but they got rid of Keaton's cameo in the Flash. He was supposed to be Batman going forward, which made sense for Batgirl.
I know. I just
think that.
I think I understand the emotion behind it. I really do. But I think as a business, if you own the movie, it sucks. And the same thing with I know that it's not a popular opinion, but like the Acme thing and all that other stuff too. If it's yours, I think it's a mistake to not do the Acme thing. I think it's a mistake, like because the money that goes into Batgirl, the money that went into the marketing and everything too. If you can look at it and you go, guys, this is terrible. This is going to be a loss. Like we are going to have a loss if we like a huge loss. We have to market this. It's going to be HBO Max. We're not going to make any money left. It's going to be a loss. Is there anything we can do? Well, we can just cancel it and get a tax write-off for it. Do that. If it's that terrible, then that's the decision. Now, what I do think happened, though, is then they said, well, wait a minute. If there's still movies we can't make money on, even if they're okay, cancel them. That Acme thing, that Scooby thing, don't release them. Let's get a tax break on those, too. I think that once you do it, then you got to start to get addicted to it and do it again, and I think that's a problem.
I guess that's just the whole thing, Kristian, is when you look at it, there's a couple. First of all, looking at it, it looks like the budget was about 90. So you weren't in like crazy danger territory there, but so you could have given it a shot, but It is literally when you pair it with everything else that was happening at the time. So you were watching them completely dump entire shows that either were literally about to drop, that were just completely gone. And I get what you're saying. The studio's the one that put it up so they can do with it what they want. It's their toys. They can do with it what they want. But the callous nature of what it looked like to drop all of those shows, all those movies, everything that was happening at the same time, right before you go into a strike, it felt like
I don't disagree with that.
This was a slap to the face of everybody. And that's where I'm like, I can't give them goodwill.
Timing wise, I don't disagree with you when it was done. It was a lose-lose. But anyway, I'm very curious to hear what people think overall with this one. Please go ahead and give us your thoughts. All right. It's time.
Real quick.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I got a question. I don't know if we covered it because I thought it just dropped yesterday. I thought we were going to talk about maybe the Captain America budget.
We did cover it on the show with Steph and myself yesterday.
But it's what was the budget?
Well, I don't believe what they
said.
The budget was.
That's why I want to say it. Not for a second is that movie 180 million.
No.
Not for a second.
No. They said 180. Now the question is which one? Which movie? The first movie or the second movie that they shot?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
Yeah, I think the creative financials and the way to get behind the bad press is to go, it costs 180 million. This movie that we shot 3 times, this version that's coming, that's 180 million.
Not including the reshoots. Right. That's the initial budget.
Script.
That's the initial budget that was set that they because this doesn't include reshoots, which is essentially the entire movie, because there was another report of showing all the things that they reshot, the Serpent Society stuff and all that stuff, and that alone was like you're looking at 20, 30. Like, there's no way you made 2 movies for $90 million a piece.
I have a feeling, because there's always the idea that some stuff can be used in other things. I would not be surprised if the way that they were able to get away with saying something like that is like, that's actually a part of another project because of the strike anyway, and they reschedule stuff. They just said, let's take this and we're just going to plop that right over here. And so then that way you could say this movie only costs 180 instead of 300 like The Flash.
Complete nonsense. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought it up. It's nonsense. All right, here we go. We got questions. And so again, Steph going into yesterday had, I think, between 25 and 30 questions going into the question round. You guys, starting, have 72.
Let's go, Mike. Come on, man. We can do this.
Hot damn.
Right.
He's
now,
so excited.
Look at Mike. We woke up. Mike woke up from cursing everybody out to now thinking he's got a shot. Jacob Pynchon, Supergirl is my most anticipated movie since Endgame. Wow. Mike and Winston, do you have any favorite comics that are featuring Kara? Mine are from King, Loeb, and New 52.
I'll be honest, I haven't read as many Supergirl comics personally. I've seen a lot more. Like, I've actually really enjoyed the CW show before it kind of went off a cliff. I really enjoy all of the times she's shown up in animation, like her run in Justice League Unlimited, and the idea of essentially her quote unquote Power Girl clone and all that with Argus and everything. So I really enjoy the character, and I know a decent amount about her lore, but I don't have a specific book or run that comes to mind for me personally.
For me, the most recent one I read was Mark Andreyko's run. That was predated. I want to say it was before the pandemic, because we were in the middle of the Schmodown, because he was like, I can't tell you what I'm working on, but I'm working on Supergirl. And it's like, so I got into that run, which was, I guess, her last big run before Woman of Tomorrow, which that's kind of my favorite run that's out there.
I need to text Draco and see if I can get a signed copy.
I'm sure you can. JTS became a YouTube member. Thank you, JTS. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff. I get this question every day about the unedited reactions that I promise you, when they come, they're going to be a ton of them. It's got to be that one day when I just kind of take off from the live show and just edit those all day long, because because
you essentially have to put it back.
I got to put a time code. I just got to put a time code on it basically, but I just have to take the full raw reaction, and then if there's any little dead time, I got to cut that out, because people want to watch the full movie with us, besides the thing that we're already releasing it. I mean, I get the question every day that people want to do it, and it is available for members and patrons. So when it comes out, you will get it. Ewok, so excited for Supergirl. The comic by Tom King is awesome. Basically a high fantasy version of the True Grit story. That's pretty cool, on an interplanetary scale, with Supergirl in the Jeff Bridges role. It's so good. Is that true? That's I mean, you just sold me on that. I love True Grit. Love it.
Yeah, I mean that's again that's the kind of the whole thing. She's out here for revenge and shit. I think they probably explained it better than I did, but yeah,
yeah, that was really great. Simon Section, hey Chris, just watched your reaction to Civil War. I loved it. No lips. That's one for the books. That was Sam. Sam was getting pissed. Sam was getting pissed off with what was Daniel Bruhl's character?
Zemo.
Yeah, and she was getting pissed off, and she was like, "Here he comes again, no lips." She goes, mouth looking like an asshole. It was pretty great. It was pretty great. Mike Joyce, Timmy Chalamet hosting, performing Saturday Night Live tomorrow. Excited? I don't necessarily know if I use the word excited, but I'm looking forward to watching it.
Is he doing Dylan? Is that what he's performing?
Maybe.
Because I was like, I didn't know that does he have a band or anything?
I don't know, but I don't know if I'm not sure, but I'm curious to see it. I'm curious to see it for sure. I think he's super talented, and I think he's great on that show too. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Beagle Studios, what's up, man? Super excited for the new coach of the Bears, Ben Johnson. His interviews have been very exciting. Apparently, he and Ditka have things in common. Have you seen a lot from Ben Johnson?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, he was the offensive. For those that don't know, he was the offensive coordinator for the Lions. So what made them averaging I want to say 35 or 38 points a game this season. It was just crazy they went out the way that they did. I think it's his time. He was the number one prospect for a new head coach, and I think pairing him up with Caleb Williams, who did not do well, but I think just needed a much better mentor. I think the Bears could be really scary going forward. So it sounds like it'd be fun.
Andy Bergdorf says, just for Mike. There you go. Billy Miles. Winston, when are we going to see your top 10 from 2024?
That's a great question. Between the fires and the moving and all that, I have about 15, 20 minutes to finish editing. So let me sit my black ass down and do that for you, and then we'll get it for you ASAP.
I can't say that. Armada, Mike, do you think Jonathan Bailey will be a good Bond?
That's the guy from Wicked, right?
Is it?
Yeah,
I thought so. Jonathan Bailey.
Is that he's pretty good, that guy.
Is that him? I don't know if that's him though.
It is. That's him.
Okay,
that's him. Yeah. He's pretty. He's got the look, man. He's got the look.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Armada. Sexy Red and Bruno Mars collab is out now. That wasn't on my
I was not expecting it, but it slaps. I don't even know what y'all be doing with your lady time, but that song goes so hard. I was like, I gotta go to work, but I don't want to right now.
Do you know what Mike and I heard when they brought up those the first name? This is what Mike and I heard. No clue. No idea what you're talking about. Shay Markel. Long time no see, guys. I love the panel. What's up, Shay? We missed you, bud. How you doing? Started a new gig. Haven't been able to watch live. You're watching now. We're happy to have you part of it, man. Thank you. Alexander Wilson, did y'all see the Puck news dropped earlier today about the Michael Jackson movie? No. What is it? This is one of the biggest movie blunders in years. Truly shocking. You guys have to check it out. What was it? You want to take a look, Winston? Why don't you take a look while we look? What was the biggest blunder of all time? Shay, I moved overseas. Oh wow, it's 9 p.m. I still tune in. Where are you now? Shoot, I hope you're. Let's see. Maybe he said, I'm loving Sammy. Sammy Gunn's MCU reactions. Also, yeah, she's quickly becoming one of the biggest stars, if not the biggest star on the channel. She's awesome. She's awesome. She's just I look, I've been friends with her since the first grade, and so I get excited. I get to hang out with my friend 3-4 times a week now, and she's so into the MCU. It's amazing. It's so good. So, did you find anything, Winston?
Yeah, I'm just popped over to TMZ. The biopic has reshoot scheduled amid report of mention of accuser in the film. There's a film reference to Jordan Chandler that has the production in total chaos. Director Fuqua had already completed filming Michael, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, they don't want any mentions of it at all?
I guess not. Okay. Yeah. Oof, all right. Okay.
Shay Markel, support for my guy Case. Thank you, Shay. Glad to have you back, bud. Armada, Brad Pitt going to be in a new David Ayer movie about a soldier surviving in the Alaska wilderness after a plane crash. Sounds like the Gray. Sign me up. You said David Ayer. You said Brad Pitt. You said Alaska wilderness movie surviving. I'm in. Yeah, the Gray is incredible. You guys ever see the Gray?
Sure, of course.
Winston, you got to see it, man. It's fantastic. Shay Markel, support for the big dog, Winston.
That's what's up, Shay. Thank you, man.
He's coming back in. Support for Mr. Beauregard, aka Mad Mike. That's right.
Who? Mr. Beauregard.
That's you. Stuart Blackie, the Top Gun guy. Tropic Thunder is arguably the best Tom Cruise performance. What do you guys think? It's not outside the conversation.
It's definitely
Maverick.
Well, he's just saying. You think
general,
Maverick's? He says Tropic Thunder
Tropic
is Top
Thunder
Cruise.
performance. He's saying.
Oh,
yeah.
I put it out. I would put it.
It's in the top 5.
His Rushmore. I put it in his Rushmore.
4.
He's got stronger performances, but it leaves such a lasting impression that I feel like it's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah.
What would you say, Mike? Magnolia?
It doesn't feel that way.
I mean, Magnolia.
Yeah.
Born on the 4th of July.
Yeah, Born on the 4th of July is a good one.
Collateral.
Yeah,
Collateral.
Collateral
Good
is a
one,
great
Winston.
That's a great one. Shay Markel, feel free to skip through my super chats now. Freddie Castellano, Civil War reaction so good. Thank you, Freddie. It took me back to my first viewing in New York City at an advanced screening hosted by Collider. That's cool. Sam's reactions brought me back. I started tearing up. He said, we'll never be able to see Zemo's asshole lips. But she said that's definitely been the one that's been standing out. So looking like an asshole. It was so funny the way she said it, too. But yeah, I'm just so happy that you guys were able to experience that with her. I mean, her and Luke both said, I said, look, I'll be happy because people have been asking about Civil War, about watching it. I'll probably do anywhere between 30 to like 40,000. I think people are going to be checking it out over the course of like 2 weeks. It's been up for like 6 hours, already has like 20,000 views. So I'm happy that you guys have been checking that out. It's really good. And I'm glad I'm happy for Sam on it, because the more you guys watch, the more we get Sam back. Shay Markel, did you drop your old pup Taz after the cartoon? Did I name him? No, I actually named him after the wrestler, to be completely honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just worked because he was a Tasmanian devil. Yeah. Gopal, got my things done. I'm back to the live. Hell yeah, it's good to have you back, Gopal. He's been tuning in, but he's had a chance to be here live. It's good to have you back. Alexander Wilson, Mike, don't forget that the first MCU movies came out when physical media was still huge revenue drivers. The first Iron Man made over $200 million on DVD and Blue sales.
Great point.
It's a good call.
Great point.
Yeah. Mike, I think you'd like this. Andrew Dice Clay is the next Bond villain. That's got to happen.
God.
We got a martini.
Get your balls cut off.
Hey, big shot with the martini glass. Shay Markel. Mike, what's been your most fulfilling acting gig?
Ooh.
Schmodown.
Probably my time on Jane the Virgin.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you work with Yara Martinez at all?
I did not. I was mainly with Jaime Camel.
Okay. Yada's a good friend of mine. All right, let's see. Next one. Chandler Hospian. I can't wait for a teaser image of her in the suit to show my daughter, who is almost 5. We've watched the Superman trailer 40 times. I'm intrigued to see what the Elseworlds intro looks like. That's not Elseworlds. You're just saying in general.
Yeah, I think he's just saying in general, because they mentioned that they're going to create a Elseworlds kind of opening for just those films.
Yeah, the Supergirl's not in Elseworlds.
No.
But yes, I'm interested in seeing that too, how they're going to do that with like the Batman, if that movie ever comes out. Shay asked Winston, what was it like to act on a TV show?
Sick, man. I mean, it's I know that Mike understands too. It's a lot of fun. You have done something for so long, and then you get the opportunity to do it on like one of the highest levels that you can get at, and you just get to go on and do the damn thing, man. So it's really cool. It's really, really fun.
Evil John Madden is here. Uh-oh. Winston, you should be honored that Mike's here today. He is the best angry person ever. Yesterday was the best. Or Tuesday was the best. It was the best.
Oh, dude, that clip had me dying, because I knew I know Mike enough that I knew exactly what was going through his head while it was happening, where he's like, I can't do anything about it, but I also want to strangle everything.
It was the best. Gopal, I saw an article this morning that Sony is shutting down its last Blu-ray plant. Is that the end of physical media, or are there other manufacturers? I'm sure there are other ones, but ain't nobody buying it anymore, man. It's a bummer.
I am.
Yeah, me
too. I know, but I shouldn't say nobody, but it's not the preferred thing anymore.
I know, man.
It's easy access, and it takes up space is the problem.
I get that, and I think the one thing that people just got to remember, be careful what you wish for, because that one thing you really want to see, you think it's at your fingertips now. Like the one thing I'll never forget, my sister's very first movie that she wrote on, again, right before the strike, they just fully pulled it from streaming and it was nowhere to be found, and they didn't put any physical out. So something that was like a flag, you know, on her mountaintop was just gone. Yeah. And there's nothing that can be done about it. So like, you got to hold on to physical media if you can, guys.
Shay, Kristian, have you ever entertained acting? Oh, that's what I did. I was a theater major at Florida State University.
Is that where y'all met?
Well, I met not at theater school. We both were in the theater school, but yes, we did meet at Florida State, but not at the theater school. And it's funny, we both were. It's funny. I don't know if I ever really saw Mike at the theater school that often.
No, I don't think we saw each other ever
at all. But yeah, I did. And then if you know what, Shay, you can look up on the internet, Grasping at Straws. And it's myself and Eliza Schlesinger in a show together, so you can check that out. More support from Shay. Thank you, Shay. Thank you. And then you got Silkworm. That Supergirl screenshot was directly from the comic, and it makes me more excited. For me, I'm more hyped about most hyped for Supergirl out of the upcoming DC projects. I'll tell you that little synopsis that was just sent in, the True Grit thing, that's got me more hyped, for sure. Yeah. Mike, what is it about Supergirl that you really like?
About Supergirl?
Yeah.
Well, it's tough because, like, for me, like Winston had mentioned also, I was a big fan of her. Her, for me, best arc and best thing is the animated series that they did. She's so good in that show. Right. When it was Superman, but then she went to Justice League Unlimited. So, but again, she is more of a, I'm going to probably get a lot of crap for this for saying this, not a newer character, but the love for her has really kind of kicked up over the past decade. Hey guys. So that was she did real good. Laura Vandervoort on Smallville did a real good version of her. Mm-hmm. So it's a character that's not always up there with like Wonder Woman and Black Canary.
Right. Okay.
But is kind of taking a real big hold in the past 10 years, which has been kind of great to see.
It's part of why I was so sad that she was such a small part of the Flash. And especially once we got a chance to like see specifically the angle we were going at, and and what the actress was doing. Isabella Merced, is that no? Who played her? Oh my God.
Oh, right.
But you know who I'm talking about. But my brain has gone out the window. She was doing such incredible work. To get her for what felt like maybe 10, 15 minutes at most of screen time just really sucked.
All right, let's see. Next one here is Homer Erectus. There you go. What are your thoughts on the Oscar nominations? Well, I talked about it in depth yesterday, and it's just, like I said, I'm kind of over the Oscars at this point.
I can't believe that Amelia Perez got as many Oscar noms as they did. I was, okay.
Yeah. Shay Markel, sorry to hear about the Guardians reaction issue. Yeah, me too. We're doing Guardians 2 today, so we'll have that. But, man.
What happened?
Didn't I tell you this? So we had shot it. It was probably the best. She loved it. She lost her mind. One of the best reactions we've ever done so far. And then right as we were ending, after the dance off with Ronan, something pops up on the screen and it says, "This file has been corrupted." And I could not get it back. And I took a full day off from work to clean up the computer and do everything I needed to do. And I fixed it all. But like, I lost
was the computer too full or something?
This thing was because there was a backed up, a lot of these 4K files were being put somewhere that I thought that they were erased. I didn't realize they were actually being stored somewhere, and it took up so much memory that it crapped out the thing. I put everything now on a hard drive, so now everything's fine. But I just started doing, Winston, I watched episode 1 of Squid Game yesterday.
What'd you think?
Oh, I don't want to say it. I have my reaction coming up. I shot.
I will watch every one of those. I want to see you react to this, bro.
Monday morning is the first one. So if people would actually check it out and watch it, I'll keep doing them. I am Jax12. I'd pay to watch Sam's Infinity War and Endgame reactions in IMAX. So that would be great. I would love that. Shay Markel. Seriously though, this movie has been tough, but you and Sam have brought some joy to this period. I'm so excited. I got to tell Sam that when she comes in, like how many people, I'm sure she's been checking out a lot of the comments, but like people are really enjoying what Sam's been doing. Mike, your Wi-Fi is really funny running bit now. You quitting the show the other day was hilarious. #Iron Mike. Yeah, I mean that was.
I did come back, Winston. I
You
didn't.
did.
I
I thought you were going to
it.
bail. I thought he was going to bail, but he came back. Silkworm. Dr. Doom needs to be around for years. He's too important for a character, not just Fantastic Four, but to the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
You're
he
not wrong.
literally his ego is so tied up in everything. It's very similar to Loki, where they really are the Asgardian Earthling, like yin and yang of each other. So you have to keep Doom around.
Al Rensha, I would personally rather have the Beyonder take over as lead villain in Secret Wars and then have Doom take a step back. To me, that would make more sense. I don't know enough about it.
I mean, you're probably going to end up in a situation where Doom is going to end up with Beyonder's powers. I would not be surprised if you have Doomsday happen. He's probably trying to do some stuff. They find out about the Beyonder. They're kind of working together to stop him. Doom ends up trying to take the stuff away from him. And then they're like, oh, we thought you were one of our allies. I'm sure it will, honestly.
Yeah. Nick Vaughn, I don't buy the rumors because I sincerely doubt that Iger wants to keep cutting $40 million checks or however much keeping RDJ around for longer than I have to. Yeah, but there's different. If those Avengers movies make a lot of money, you can do one of two things. You can make a brand new deal with them and you can give them more points on stuff and you can give other things. If that's the deal would be signing them up for a couple different movies, and there's ways around it, and especially if it's worth the investment, that's why they're probably waiting to see
You probably give him Feige level of points, honestly.
Feige level?
Because Feige, I gotta assume, is getting at least 10, right?
Well, whatever. I would Feige level. I don't know about that.
If you want to forego having to pay him, like you do what the Tom Hanks sweetheart deal is, like I'll take the veteran minimum, and then you give me back, and I think you go to Robert Downey and you go, cool, we'll give you what, $2 million per movie, but here's 7-8 points.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Joey Pedras. I'm concerned that his rate might get in the way of Doom showing up as much as he could. Thoughts? I mean, that's the same thing. It just depends on, look, if they want him and he wants to do it, they'll come to a deal. Shay, Kristian, I can't in good conscience recommend you go out and watch Superman Lois. It's a decent show, bro. I don't think it's worth sitting through. I don't think I'll be able to do that one. I just don't. Especially now I'm doing Squid Game, I'm doing all these things. And the other thing that Winston, you're going to love is that, so, we had that whole conversation with Coy last week about South Park, and it really bummed me out. Because everything that I was talking, Roka had a great take on it about what that movie really was, and I don't think that Coy and I don't think they're both those guys. I don't think that they and Aaron. I don't think that they really understood, like, at the time, the type of references and what it was. It's a very smart movie when you look at it. The commentary. It's not just fart jokes and dick jokes. It's packaged in a really tight message. But anyway, I started thinking about it. I was like, yeah, my wife has never seen that, and I definitely want to do that one, but it's too close to when they did it. But she's like, well, what about Team America? I've never seen that. So we're going to do Team America.
Oh, my God.
Wait, I know we got to get through the questions. What was Roka's take? I'm so curious now.
Oh, it's too long. But it's just, he basically just went over all the culture, the reason, everything about it at the time, about what it was saying at the time period, about politically and other things, and the fact that they did it while Saddam was still alive and they were poking the bear and like all that stuff. Yeah,
that's I think the thing, because I think about that with Chappelle's show. You, in a lot of ways, you could not do that sketch show now. You can do the format, you can't do some of the jokes that were done, but at the same time, you got to look at what was going on. Like his Black Bush sketch is hysterical when you think about the middle of what we're dealing with Bush at the time. Right.
Shay Markel, I'm not excited for Cap 4. Am I crazy, guys? No, there's not a lot of hype behind it right now. Not crazy, just not a lot of hype.
Yeah. You know what? I was just thinking about this morning. It's interesting. Everyone's trying to hype it up, but Feige himself.
Right.
I haven't heard him talk about this movie at all.
That's true. He'll probably amp it up as we get a little closer.
I mean, I'm sure he's got other things he's dealing with.
Yeah.
But Mackey's out there beating the drum, and that's about it.
I know. El Face Presidente. John Belushi, born OTD, explosive, unpredictable comedy rock star. Sure was. Keith Moon of gags wrapped in the body of Oliver Hardy. He was incredible. Absolutely incredible. One of my favorites of all time. Here you go, Mike. Shay Markel. Yeah, we're eating good, boys. It drives him nuts. What are your opinions on phase 4 and 5 newer characters overall? Are they good enough to bring back after Secret Wars or just soft reboot? So Winston and I talked about all the time in sports references. There's no all-stars right now. And that's why they're bringing back the old vets, because there's no all-stars.
There's only, I would argue, maybe one or two, but you didn't give them enough time to further go. And
who's an all-star? Don't say Shang-Chi.
The only two, I'm saying what it is you had 2 Rookie of the Years that you have not given a chance.
Good player and all-star is different.
We had that whole debate before you moved, but I agree. Shang-Chi and Miss Marvel, if you would given them time to go and just further cook and get to that space, we would be having a different conversation. But you've kind of sidelined them or put them in situations where that's kind of diminished them a little bit, you know. So,
Shay Markello, Steve comes back. Is that not a slap in the face for Sam's Cap 4? I mean, damn, does that not prove they have no real interest in him as legit Cap? Well, all things point that he's going to play a variant or something, or whether it's Hydra Cap or something else too. So you probably. The opposite of that, you probably give Anthony Mackie a chance to fight him because he says, because in even the trailer, Steve Rogers, and now he's going to fight Steve Rogers. So probably what's going to happen.
I don't think so, because I think the other thing that you see in the comics too, you give Sam, he really takes the mantle, and Steve is like working as like Steve Rogers, and he almost takes like a Nick Fury type role. Like there's a number of ways that you can do that.
Joe for show. Winston, we are one of the last 2 teams without a coach. Did Jerry Jones make a deal with the devil for those 90 chips to never win another one?
I honestly think he probably did at this point. He signed his soul away, which is also why he's trying to make sure he doesn't die ever. But I honestly think what he's done, I think he probably did hire a coach, most likely Sanders, and he decided he's not going to announce it until Super Bowl week so that he can steal some shine in the news. The one thing he's good at is being a businessman. I just don't think he's a good football.
Shay. Are you shitting in the mic when Mike talks? No, my chair is all messed up. Renetta W. Kristian and crew, thank you so much for all the laughter and good times. I thank you guys. Thank you, Renetta. I love all these people that we're just really starting, because of the live show, there's so many people that we're getting to meet here. Shay, what's the best non-Guardians MCU soundtrack? Soundtrack or score?
Soundtrack, Black Panther.
Yeah.
Kendrick took fully helm that and as EP on it and what? Oh, fantastic.
We're talking soundtrack, definitely. Score is probably Endgame.
Yeah.
Shay Markel, support for Iron Mike's new Wi-Fi setup. Ronetta, Mike, I absolutely love your authenticity. The other day when your Wi-Fi was giving you issues, that was great. It made my day. I was laugh crying. Thank you. I needed that, especially during these times. It was the best. 92%. That was the absolute best. When you froze right when you were making that point, I mean, that was, you have to admit, that was like.
I can't admit because I didn't see it.
Yeah. So good. How did the Mad Hatter get so big on this channel, by the way?
Mustard. God.
I mean, I mean, look at Mike. He's got a brand new internet connection.
Look at Mikey go.
Crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious.
Yeah. Mustard. Let's not be silly. Kenya King, Sean William Scott for Booster Gold, maybe like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
he'd be perfect for the character. Great and rundown. I think he's a little too old now. But yeah, I'm telling you, I loved Coy's take on it. Billy Magnuson, love it.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Shay Markel. I won't admit this to Roxy, but I hate watch Silo. It's super damn slow, but it has a great premise, and I love Rebecca Ferguson. Do you guys watch it? Roxy raves about that show. No,
I mean, Apple's cooking, but no, I haven't seen Silo. Severance is really the only show outside of Ted Lasso with Apple. That and oh god, the one with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford, the therapy one. Oh, my brain.
Shining.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, though. I think.
What, the one with Harrison Ford?
Shrinking? Yeah, it's shrinking. There it is.
Yeah. Beagle Studios. I agree with you guys. Also, I agree with Kristian. Last year, I had a film completed that was to release last fall, but I did what WB did because I had to. Yeah, it's like it's just because they're so big and they have so much money. People are just like, oh, well, you have the money to do it. Kenya King. Mike. Armada, Bob Chapek killed the MCU multiverse saga. He didn't help it. There's no doubt about that.
I forgot about that clown.
Yeah, he was the worst.
I forgot about him.
Biger came in, threw him out by his pajama pants. Shay Markel, do you have a disappointing movie of 2024 that you thought would be great? Mine is Bike Riders. I thought it'd be Oscar worthy. It was a shitbag. I didn't think it was a shitbag. I didn't like it. I was definitely disappointed by that one. Which one did I think was going to be
Joker
really
2.
Good? Oh, Joker 2. Yeah.
That's definitely up there for me.
Yeah, easily. That was the one.
And again, it wasn't bad to me. It was boring.
Yeah, I was anticipating it, and I wanted to anticipate when I was going to get home.
That one, honestly, just because I thought that the premise was interesting, they just blew it. Was the American Society of Magical Negroes?
Yeah.
The idea of like almost like a black Harry Potter type whatever that seemed fascinating, and they just completely made a trash movie.
Nick Vaughn, have you heard anything about Marvel screening the first 30 minutes of Cap 4 to press next week? If true, I find that encouraging at the very least. First 30 minutes, I don't find that encouraging. I find it the opposite.
I find it the opposite. That is hey, we've got to get people hyped about this because no one's
what they just did with
that's Craven dropping 8 minutes, and you go, this is because I literally went into that movie going after the prison scene. I was like, is this about to be a good ass movie? And then I hated it.
Yeah. So no, I don't think that's great. They're trying to get people to rave about it, maybe with the critics. Go pal, Mike. What is your take on what's OHMSS?
On Her Majesty's
Secret Service. Oh, shit!
Apparently, it bombed so hard that they dropped all the money to get Connery back one more time. But I remember thinking it was fine, and Tracy and Mark are important.
It was the audiences love Connery, and he wasn't Connery. But that movie has really kind of come back around. And if you talk to people now, they love it. And it's up there with like the top Bond films for a lot of people. It's a very good movie. But it's just you're coming off Connery. You're
right. That's hard.
The whole world loved him in the role.
Shay Markel, question for the sports guys: why do you think the U.S. doesn't produce more elite athletes in Olympic and powerlifting?
Because I think like anything else,
too much pizza.
Pizza's probably part of it. It's what you end up putting your focus into. I think that America could be extremely dominant in soccer, but that is not a priority. Like people go to basketball, baseball, football. So if that ever shifts, then I think you will see a lot more American players actually doing it. But I don't know.
Next one, Kenya King. I need a Judge Dredd versus Mars Attacks movie. Please.
That's a combo.
I am the law. I would love to see the Stallone version of it, though. Armada. Mike's internet was crazy, scary, spooky,
hilarious. Mustard.
Mustard. Don't be silly. Mike's internet. Where's the T-Mouse? Stuart Blackie. I love Tropic Thunder, but Top Gun Maverick was my favorite movie of that year, and with Tom Cruise. I mean, that was my favorite.
Huh? I was like, they did not come out in the same year. I didn't. Now I understand what he's saying.
He just loves it. He just loves it. Yeah. Fascia Brute. What's your favorite sandwich? Mine's a meatball sub. I'll tell you what, man. There's this market out here called Ivorone. There's a market, and they have these chicken meatballs, and I've been putting them. I'm buying because they have like the real kind of Italian bread out here that I was never able to really get in Los Angeles. And I take that and I put that on this sandwich, and it's so good. But I mean, the sandwiches here are so incredible as compared to LA. They're so good.
I'm gonna cheat and say burgers, bro.
Well, that is cheating.
I like a good Cuban.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I didn't know Shannon was Cuban.
Cheesesteaks.
That was good. All right. Al Rensha, Mike drinking Diet Coke with a straw. Get him out. Get him out.
Hey, I drink so much Diet Coke. I got to protect these pearly whites here. It's my moneymaker. I can't be having the caffeine and soda hit my teeth.
Shay Markel, I'm happy to hear that DC's getting new openings. Yeah, he doesn't. It's the teeth. It's not the fact that he's putting those chemicals in his body. Chris Greenier,
hey man, if the teeth work, they can put them up there. They put them in the
no one on screen sees what's happening inside this body. It's all on the outside. It's all fake.
You ever see what they poured Diet Coke on what's it, an engine?
No, they poured there's a regular Coke, and
regular Coke,
clean battery in your engine with regular Coke.
Crazy. Yeah. Chris Granier, please play the Mike clip from Tuesday and let's see Mike's reaction to it. Now, also, they're going to play as Crawley and Supernatural, who could play in DC or MCU. We just don't have enough time for that. But Mike to react to that. We should do that. Maybe on the next show, Mike can react to it.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Legend MM600. If Dr. Doom is like Lex Luthor, then what about Batman and Superman? I love you guys. Rad show. Thank you, Legend.
Dr. Doom is like Lex Luthor.
Then what about Batman and Superman? So who's the Batman and Superman of Marvel?
Probably Cap and Iron Man.
Right. That's what he's saying.
My analogy with that was just the fact that Lex Luthor is always there. He's running for president. He becomes president. It's like Doom is always in the MCU or in the Marvel comics. He's always around. He's always omnipresent, involved. He's not just like the Joker for Batman. You're not going to see the Joker pop up and go terrorize the Flash for whatever.
The only other person outside of Luthor, but Luthor gets more shine that I think of like that is maybe Vandal Savage because of his whole I'm immortal. He seems to be behind every nefarious kind of thing. But the Batman and Superman, I guess you could say, because of them being buddies and opposing stuff, it'd be Iron Man and Cap. But you could make the argument if we're talking popularity, maybe then you throw Spider-Man in there. He seems to mingle with a lot of different people.
Yeah. Yeah, Spidey might be the Superman of the Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that could be. All right, let's see. Next one, and this is Poot Shoot Riot. Thoughts on Hulk Hogan being cast as the new Black Panther? The trailer for Peg Boys 2, all lubed up, looks riveting. Theme song looks funky. Yeah, Brett Sheridan's actually in that one. And yeah, I mean, Hogan should have been cast years ago. Finally.
Wakanda forever, brother.
That's right.
Are you so you're gonna take the spray painting thing of him? That's what he in Wakanda. He's just doing the.
It's like, sir, we have a problem. What? There were tapes of Black Panther saying stuff that he probably shouldn't have
said. his sex tape was dropped.
Yeah, and he was saying a lot of things about things we probably wouldn't.
I am a real Wakandan.
Yeah, Alexander Wilson. The Michael movie opens and the third act is about the accuser. There you go. And it was learned this week that the estate has a legal agreement that this can't be depicted in a movie. So they might have to scrap the movie completely. That's what it was. That's going to be a problem. Yeah, the Michael Jackson. So they brought that in there. Were they trying to sneak it in? They were trying to sneak it in.
They were trying to sneak it in.
Yeah, so it seems
you didn't think that the estate was going to watch the movie first?
But it got leaked somehow. That they didn't screen it to anybody. It got leaked.
I gotta believe that in the same way that the estate has a legal agreement for that they would have gotten to see the movie before it got to that point. I don't know what they think they were pulling.
Yeah. Al Rensha, Honora, Brutalist, Unknown, better chance to sweep. Honora, I think you mean what's the one? The Amelia Perez. That's the problem. They got that has a chance to, I don't know why, but it has a better chance to.
Oh, I thought Honora also had a bunch of nominations.
Yeah, for sure. Pete Parker 2288 seems like Kristian seems like you caught a lot of crap in the comments about the Oscars criticism. People saying it was not supposed to be about popular movies. Anyone who wrote that didn't understand anything I was saying yesterday. So I haven't paid in. Yeah,
I'm curious. You just essentially were saying, how are you not going to include that?
No, I'm just saying that the world is, the Oscars are so much different now that movies that people actually are aware of, which is not necessarily like Shawshank Redemption, which by the way was not a popular movie. Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, which is again an independent movie, were the types of movies that came out in '94. They were in the public consciousness. People knew what they were. It's not a matter of popular; it's a matter of awareness. There's a difference between popular and awareness. So the answer to your question is, I didn't pay attention to any of those because any of those that I saw, I was like, oh, those people weren't listening. So the idea, it's because I even saw Mike Joyce, who I like, say, oh, it's not about popular movies. You're not listening to what I'm saying. It's the fact that there's just all these smaller movies. Who are you making these for now? Movies used to be made for everyone. They're not made for everyone now. They're just made for the industry. That's the difference. They're not made for everyone now. The Brutalist. No one has seen that movie outside of people inside of this business, and so that's the point. It's not a matter of popular. It's a matter of awareness. There's a difference between awareness and popularity. Anyway, Shay Markel just looked up at Grasping at Straws. Dude, holy shit. Square Jaw Kristian and Chubby Ellis is hilarious. Dude, you've done a lot of work, man. I'm happy. Thank you, man. Yeah, the Grasping at Straws was a lot of. I do somewhere. Ken Knapsack has it, and he's got the full version of it. I want to transfer over the full version. Just put it on the channel. I don't care if I get copyright music stuff. It's fine. But I can't find an actual full version of it. Those are the cut up web episodes. Winston, why is Sue so curvy in Rivals? Dang it.
Because if you're behind everybody while you're playing Rivals, so it's just right there, bro. Her and Squirrel Girl just thick for no reason.
This is Shay Markel. I moved to the Middle East for work. Oh man, that's a move. Where in the Middle East? Where? Richard Okatora. Support for Winston and Mike. I like RDJ. I just wish they cast someone else for Doom. I just can't separate him from Tony Stark. That's the problem. That's going to be the big problem.
I think a lot of people, that's going to be the problem.
It's going to be the big problem. Because I'm telling you, when he put those sunglasses on, he had the sneakers on, I don't care if you're wearing green or not. It's like, oh, Tony Stark's playing Doom. That's what it looks like. Tyler Gosha. I saw Nosferatu. Some people laughed at the end. How dare they? And then I overheard some people that loved it. Yeah, ever been in a movie theater was clearly divided? Sure, absolutely. There was a movie I saw recently. I can't remember which one it was, but Roxy was like, "Oh, everybody in that theater I was at hated it," and I was Gladiator too.
Yeah.
And she's like, everyone
Nice.
hated it. I was like, I liked Gladiator too. I stand by it. Still love
I'm
it.
actually going to be doing a reaction to it because I
Okay.
missed the run.
Yeah, I liked it. Shay, have you guys ever been to a theater in another country? No. Thailand,
Yes.
they play the national anthem before a movie begins.
In Japan, I was studying abroad there. Very
What was the name?
interesting. Much cleaner. Way more respect with like genuine silence, no phones out. People do not play with that, man.
Right.
At
No,
all.
I love that. I love that. Thor 3, I Am Jack's 12, best soundtrack. Hate the movie. Good soundtrack. It is. It's a good soundtrack. But still, I still go with Winston on Black Panther for sure. Spidey Sensei 72, with these recent Netflix price hikes, is there any reason to keep it after Stranger Things drops and the Supergirl actress was Sasha Kaye?
Sasha Kaye. That's
yes.
right. That's right.
So the answer to that, as far as Clark Wolf was on Wednesday, and she made a great point. She's like, you can just cancel after Stranger Things and then come back because they're not going to have it anymore. Like if you wanted to, but I think some other people have other things that they like to watch though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they're making a massive push to these live events. So they're planning to have more NFL football games. This was a big test with that, and that's why you bring in a Beyonce show. They're the boxing matches. That's why you did the whole thing with Paul and Tyson. Like they're making a push for that. I still think it's crazy that they are raising the prices at the rate that they keep doing it. But
let's see. Andrew Carnes, humor me. I know you'll say it's unlikely, but if they ever did a DC MCU crossover movie, you were in charge of the plot, what would you make it about? Batman and Iron Man working together.
Honestly, if you would have said this 10 years, oh, for fuck's sake.
Right now, in a question is probably there it is. You're good.
Yeah.
If you would have said this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I would say you're absolutely right. You're wrong. But now I'm kind of like, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility.
I don't know.
Sony made a deal. Sony made a deal with Spider-Man and Marvel, and like GUnn is involved with, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. What would you do with the plot about, Winston?
I would make Brainiac is somehow screwing with things, and then you end up in a situation where they've got to stop it before he digitizes all of the world of the worlds.
All the worlds. That's what you call it. You call it Stop the Worlds. Simon Section, 2 chicken meatballs. I'll take 2. Chris, that's 2 chicken meatballs.
Give it 2.
Point break. Eric Kirby just saw a few minutes of Grasping at Straws. Dude, you look like Dave Coulier from Full House back in the day. I do. I don't know about that. Joey Pedras would love to see Mike on Capes and Cowls more. Yeah.
Attaboy.
Well, once Coy gets too big for us because he leaves us for the DC show, we'll put Mike on here. Yeah, we saw this. C Black is reporting Cap 4 only costs $180. Yeah, my balls. Chris Granier, you didn't answer the question at the end of last chat. What is the question? You didn't answer the question at the end of the last chat. What is the question? Was there something that came in at the very end? That's not easy. All right, I don't know what that is. Stuart Blackie, I watched Ford versus Ferrari again, and I've been watching Logan a lot. Do you guys think James Mangold is the next director that everyone should look out for? I mean, he's been around forever.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, love you guys
forever.
I love.
He'll do something like that, but then we'll do, in Indy 5, or he's hit or miss for me.
Yeah. Okay, Shay Markel. Hearing Sammy Guns bring up 9/11 during her first Avengers reaction was surreal. I can't believe she had to live through that. Yeah, and a damn MCU battle scene reminded her of it. Bless her. Yeah, she's. I mean, that's what I love about her too. She does not hide her emotions. She does, whatever she's feeling at that time. She'll tell you guys about it. She's been very open with everybody in the audience. I think that's why everybody's falling in love with her. So rightfully so. Shay Markel, I would donate to a Christmas fund aimed at the covering costs for Sammy to treat her kids to a solid Christmas experience. She's such a nice lady. See, people love Sam, man. B. Gill Studios, not a big fan of Downey as Doom. I always thought Patrick Dempsey would have been interesting, Dr. Doom. What say you? I still stick with Cavill. And Cavill
This should have been
been
Cavill, man.
I think so too.
As much of a nerd as he is, like I like him better personally as a villain. Like I think he was so good in Mission Impossible. Not that he was bad as Superman at all, but like there was just something so surreal when he was doing it. I was like, yeah, I want more of that.
Picture Jason Isaacs.
So I guess there's
interesting.
Oh, here's one. There's a question that came in yesterday. Someone sometimes I don't like people. I just don't like people. I don't like the way people write things. I don't like people. It's like I'm going to reword this part. This is not how this person wrote this question, but I'm going to reword it how a person should write something. Okay. Hey, Kristian, yesterday when you guys were on the air, I think you missed my super chat. So here is it. Here it is again. And I'm going to read, and if you can read it, that would be appreciative because I put in a super chat. No problem, Ann. It said, what do you think about a biological man being nominated for Best Actress? I think a real woman losing out on the nomination is worth talking about. And then there's nonsense at the end of that comment that I'm not going to read because it has nothing to do with anything. So I think the answer is if you have in general that if there is in the same way that with sports, right, which is a larger conversation, right? So if you're going to have someone who's transitioned that is now identifies as a woman who's going to be nominated inside that role. Now, the question is also, was this before or after the transition is the question though, too. Because if the role was, let's say Elliot Page. Let's say Elliot Page was nominated for Juno, but transitioned after Juno. I would still think at that point, from when that was at the time, I would say that would have been the Best Actress category. I mean, at the time, because at the time, Elliot Page identified as a woman, but since then has now identified as a man. So I think I think that it's there's no world where my answer is right. There's no world I don't know, maybe my answer is wrong. I have no idea. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. But what I will say is, please stop writing questions like, you don't want to talk about it. I didn't see the fucking thing. And now I did. So I answer it and I'll talk about it because we should talk about everything, and anything can be talked about if it's done in the right manner. And if you guys want to chime in on it, you can.
I don't the logic that you just laid out using Elliot as an example. I think that's a pretty sound argument. I've never thought about it. I'll be honest with you. It's not that it's not something to think about. It's just the thought. It hasn't happened yet, so I haven't thought about it. I think that makes sense.
Chris Grenier said the end of my first super chat. I guess in the beginning of shoot. But all right, I got to find Chris Grenier then because
I have a question because I was actually talking to Roka about this on Spill the Tequila. We were talking about the idea of should you be allowed to be nominated for Best Actor or Actress if you had AI essentially correct things for you. So I don't remember.
We talked about that was a Brutalist. We talked.
Okay, so yeah,
Roka and I talked about it. Where I was on the opposite page of Roka.
Roka was like, I think it's fine. I think it's completely wrong. I think that it feels like performance enhancing drugs. That like if you were supposed to be training to have a Hungarian accent,
that was exactly my point. Yeah, I mean,
you didn't do it.
Yeah, I think we're all on this
with you.
Yeah. You know what? I can't see it. So do me a favor, Chris. Just write it in the chat right now. What was the end of the chat? And I'll just I'll read it out. C Black. I think Marvel can have $4 billion movies in a row. Fantastic Four, Doomsday, Spidey, and Secret Wars. It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible.
Are those releases in order?
What?
I'm like when Fantastic Four comes out. Are those the
Fantastic
next 3
Four,
movies?
Doomsday, Spidey? I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think so. Yeah, Chris, do me a favor and throw that in there real quick as we come to the end of the question. So before we get Chris's end of that question, Winston, where can they find you?
You can find me at the Swaggy Blurred on all platforms. Definitely go and find me over here on YouTube. I'm very excited to be starting all of my reactions. That stuff's coming in. I do the Blurred Breakdown as well. That's the pop culture show for when you need to know, see what happened was. So definitely check all of that out. I would greatly appreciate it. And then obviously, if not here with Kristian and Coy and occasionally Mike, if his internet, works, I also do stuff over with Roka, Spill the Tequila. You can check that out over there as well.
And Mike, how about yourself?
You find me wherever there's shitty internet.
Last question here. Bam86. If DiCaprio had AI on his accent in Blood Diamond, it would not have been impactful at all. I mean, I agree with it. And then here is the last one. Just kidding. Richard Okatura, appreciate you guys enjoying the show daily. I haven't seen Peacemaker. My brother keeps telling me to watch it. Is it good? Yes, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
I absolutely love it. It's hilarious, and it's a good show overall. And John Cena probably does his best acting as well. All right, guys. So we have come to the end of the show. And as I said to Steph yesterday, it's unfortunate, but Steph did win. This is 116. 116.
It is 11:45. We go
always,
until
we always do that. We always do. That's not fair to Steph and other people who we go into the questions right now. That's what we've always done. We don't go.
I thought it was we go until that.
No, we always go. We always go until we run out. That's what we've done for. I mean, I've ended shows
Winston,
at 120, 130.
I'm sorry, my friend.
Right.
I believe I am the
that is it.
bad apple of Shmoda. And
Yeah,
Shmoda.
I got to be fair to everybody. I can't just extend the rules for you guys.
BS.
Came close.
So, guys, I'll be next week on Thursday when Steph won on Thursday. So let's do Thursday next week. Let's get 140 fucking people next Thursday, guys.
Oh, there you go. Kenya King. I need a Starship Troopers versus Mars Attacks. You wrote that. We saw
No. Starship Troopers versus Mars Attacks versus They
I
Live
see.
instead of Judge Dredd versus Mars Attacks.
Well, Chris, do me a favor for Chris Cranier. Just write in the comments on this one what I missed, and I'll bring it up on Monday. But all right, thank you to Mike. Thank you, you guys. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it. Last one, Stuart Black, your last thing. What's a goody way to move forward in terms of stories when the audience knows a lot of the backstory? What does that mean? Last thing.
What's a good way to
move forward? I think the way like Spider-Man did. I think Spider-Man did it good in Homecoming. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I think that's a good way to do it. I think kind of what we're about to do with Superman. I mean, we've got to see the movie first. You, which is I guess the same thing with Spider-Man. You don't not acknowledge it. You just push forward with things that are already more important, and you nod your hat to it enough that for those that maybe are new to it that don't know enough about that they can catch up.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's it now. So thank you for being here. This is what happened yesterday with Steph. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. You guys rule. And we will be back here on Monday. Again, Civil War. It is out now. Go and check it out, please. Thank you very much. And for Mike and Winston, we'll see you guys on the flip side. Bye-bye.